Those on the stone, you don't know like you cowards. Do you calculate? This world is wrong to be.
What's up, guys? Our wrestling podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious along with Jess, the Total Package, Craig, the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Someone feed me today's topic.
I'll feed you today's topic, Dave, and then we're about to approach a controversial beginning to this episode.
It's gonna be
Today's
fun.
topic is the best WrestleMania opening matches.
At my expense.
Jess gave us our topic earlier in the week, best WrestleMania openers. It left it a bit open. We received a cryptic email hours before showtime today, which said, let's see, what is this? It said something to the effect of, did we mean openers or opening matches? And Jess replied with opening matches. And Dave's reply was, fuck. And my reply to Dave was, David. So Dave, tell the people out there, when you heard WrestleMania, best WrestleMania openers, what you thought and where the confusion was and where we are today.
For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, Soundcloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher.
Sorry, I guess continue with the plugs.
Or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019 or at Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. And, you know, since you wanted to call on someone specific, Craig, I will tell you, since you were calling on me, totally legit, by the way, I literally thought, hey, there's some really cool opening segments to WrestleMania. Granted, they're probably WrestleMania 16 and beyond, if we're being real about it. And I literally started looking at these great openers. So I went to like WrestleMania Equals Hollywood 21. I'm like, you can't handle the truth.
The vignettes or the first like 2 minutes when they show the stadium and the music and everything? Like, what
literally like the opening vignettes where, you know, you can argue like WrestleMania 6, Jess makes fun of it, but I think when the stars align and WrestleMania 6.
He's memorized it. Jess, can you please give the WrestleMania 6 of VO?
No, it's the dumbest thing. People remember it and they're like, it was awesome. I'm like,
it's kind of awesome.
It was just Vince going, images began to appear. Like, and it was just space.
I knew you'd remember it.
Yeah, the constellations made Hogan and the Warrior, and then like it's WrestleMania. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing. So, but I don't want to pee in your Cheerios, Dave.
Champion versus champion.
I have to pee right in your Cheerios and maybe drop a little poopy in it too. Because originally I said, give me your top three, or this is earlier in the week when I texted the topic over. I said, give me your top three favorite WrestleMania main events. And then I said, shit, I should do openers. So that was your clue to know that I was talking about opening matches, but you still did not pick up on it. And then about an hour or two before we went,
that was the SS Birch that just backed the fuck over, Dave. I did not throw you under the bus like that. But then about 2 hours before we hit record here, Dave just sends this text over going, so what did you mean by openers? Do you mean like opening? Like, I can't remember what you said. And I was like, no, opening matches. And in my mind, I'm like, what else did he think we were talking about? And then Dave's all,
and I was thinking like
that.
Yeah. And I was thinking, dun, 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 dun.
He goes, no, the actual verbatim is, you mean openers, not opening matches, right? And Jess said, opening matches. And Dave said, fuck me. Okay. And then I went, David.
Yeah. David. I was like, why did you use that language, David, is what Craig was saying.
But this one, we are going to, so everybody talks about what's your favorite WrestleMania match? What's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time? Those are easy conversations to have. I mean, easy / hard because there's so many different ones. Then also, it's, well, what's your favorite main events of all time? Well, you know, that's kind of a common topic. People have talked about that before.
Yeah.
But I rarely ever hear people talk about what their favorite opening matches to WrestleMania
The curtain jerker, right?
The curtain jerker is because what inspired me really when I sent that text originally, switching gears from favorite main events to favorite openers, was because It's Tito Santana. It was on one of the History of WrestleMania DVDs or something like that. And they were talking about WrestleMania 1. And Tito Santana was being interviewed. And he said, Vince came up to me. And I said, well, what do you want to see from me? Tito Santana opened WrestleMania 1 versus the Executioner, by the way.
Yeah.
So Vince was like, it's important. And I put you in this position because I need you to get them off their ass. And Tito was like, okay. That's what the WrestleMania opener kind of was defined.
I thought that was Patterson.
Was it Patterson? I thought it was Vince that was coming up to him. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was Patterson. I don't know that story up.
No, you did not.
I'll start over.
It's just I've only no, because I've only done Get Him Up There as Tito as Patterson. Which is
I
a terrible
thought you were
Patterson
imitating
impression. I know. Now that I realize you think I'm imitating Tito.
So for so many years, we're realizing so much. On
all right, so we'll be back, you guys. We're gonna take a quick time out.
So either
we'll be back. No,
that's a 2-minute warning.
I can't remember who it is, but it was either Vince or Patterson that came up to Tito, and they were interviewing Tito. And Tito's like, "What do you want to see from me?" And they're just like, "Get them off their ass." Yeah. Basically, like, we put you in this opening position because a lot of people would take it as like, fuck, man, I'm the opener, damn it. But instead, Tito was like, well, what do you want to see from me? And they're like, we put you in this position because you're Tito Santana, you're a great worker. Get them off their ass. Set the tempo. Start this card.
Understatement about Tito, but that's
a
whole nother.
Yeah. So
make
that's
the Executioner. He's the future.
Yeah,
Tito.
Yeah,
whoa, put him over, bro.
Yeah. So that's why I thought of this topic. I was like, well, what we'll do is I told these guys, I want you guys to pick your 3 favorite WrestleMania openers, and we're going to go around the table. We're going to each go around. We're each going to say it kind of like we did Guilty Pleasure. We're going to go around the table here. I'll give one, Dave will give one, Craig will give one. Then we'll do number 2. Then we'll do number 1. Not necessarily, unless you want it to be, not necessarily in order of importance. It could be just 3, 2, 1 random, or you could really mean it as number 3, number 2, number 1. I'll let you guys have the possession of that power. But yeah. So are you guys ready?
I am ready.
Openers?
So ready, bro.
Fine. Then Dave's going to go first then because he's very confident.
Well, not like that.
All right,
hey, I'll give you one, and I'm gonna try to get
my favorite live performance at WrestleMania was Limp Bizkit.
Was when
I loved when Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, that was the best part. Aretha Franklin saying,
when Mudvayne did the.
Yeah. How about this one? I'm gonna throw, and this one will throw you off. But we talked about it on a previous podcast, not too far off. I kind of enjoyed the opener, Big Show versus John Cena at WrestleMania 20 for the United States title for a lot of reasons. It's a really good opener. Cena is on his way up here. Big Show is currently carrying the U.S. title, and the thing about John Cena that people may forget or didn't see because they're not as old as we are is that Cena is freakishly strong and has no problem putting Big Show into an FU and holding him. I think I can't remember if it was Craig or Cuz that said he held him for a while in this FU on previous podcast. And the people also forget that Cena was at one point just outrageously cheered. It wasn't a diverse crowd of 50% hate, 50% love. And in this match on an opener, WrestleMania 20 was a great opener. The crowd was into it. It put Cena where he needed to be to get him to the next level. And the match was well done. This is definitely a Paul Heyman production, is what I would say. And Big Show was used appropriately and hit big moves at the right time. And the crowd was glued to their seats and gave Cena a massive ovation when he put him into the second FU for the pin. And it's a great match for an opener, is what I would say. I'll start there.
States champion! Here's your winner and the new WWE United States champion, John Cena! John Cena has done the impossible! John Cena has...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we just reviewed it. It was fun. I just remember, it's so fun to see a new star made, and they made Cena that night. It was his first singles title that he won. It's so fun to look back on stuff like that. So actually, I forgot all about that match, even though we just fucking reviewed it. So Dave pulled a magic trick out of his head.
I pull out weird stuff. I'm weird. I don't know. I'm weird like that.
So I'll go, if you don't mind, Craig. I'll go second. I'm gonna get this out of the. I'm gonna get this. I'm going to get this out of the way because I know all three of us have this on our list. Dave just didn't happen to say it right now.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm going to get it out of the way right now. I'm going to say
it's
Owen
BO?
Hart versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania.
What an asshole! Why do you get?
I thought that was last.
I have because I know we all are going to say it's all and all. There's no way. When I made the topic, I was like, this match is going to be in all three of our. It has to be.
Taking my phone and deleting the one of the four that I had. All right.
No, you can say it. Still say it for your choice.
It's like, no.
It's okay if we repeat choices here because like that's just it's more talking points. This is Owen versus Bret from WrestleMania 10. This set the standard in my opinion. All before that, I mean, you know, it is what it, you know, Tito Santana and the Executioner, Coco and the Model, WrestleMania 6. Like they weren't meant to steal the show in any way. This was the first year, WrestleMania 10 with Bret versus Owen, that was the intention. They meant to come out hot because you had a ladder match later on this card that there was a lot of question marks about, but this was a pure wrestling match. To this day, it holds up because if you go back and watch Bret and Owen, they were just wonderful in there with each other, and it could go wrong. You know, you're never guaranteed a good match just because you have brothers or big names in there. You're not. It could be oil and water. And these guys, I mean, Bret, we all know Bret. You know what Bret's done, and his body of work is you know second to none, pretty much. But Owen was also equally fantastic, and they and Owen really this launched Owen's singles career. He just turned heel here. Like this was. The whole match was great. The victory roll at the end when Owen caught him and rolled him in for the pin. And then Bret gets up and he's all, fuck. And then Owen just stands up in his face and flips him off. And Jerry Lawler's all, ha ha! Like Jerry Lawler like passed out laughing.
Going up. Look at this. They hurt him on the line, so yes. No.
Yeah, it has to be on everyone's top five at least. I'm gonna delve into like my thinking and the entire like process of my top three, but like I made a couple rules for myself in my head. I wanted to feature some of the older WrestleManias because they figured out the formula and the algorithm to please people on the opening match. WWE has in the last 10, 15 years. Like a lot of them involve ladder matches. A lot of them involve three-ways. A lot of them involve like stuff they know is going to pop off.
Something they go, oh, whoa! Yeah. That kind
and so like there's so many ladder matches that are incredible. And I think we'll talk about, I don't know about you guys, that are worthy. I tried to avoid it and I almost can avoid ladder matches, but like, and then I was looking at older WrestleManias that are kind of regarded as not so great, but just great classic matches. But like for Bret and Owen, like for these guys, the stories that you can tell about from children, that's the dream, like WrestleMania. And to actually be the get them off their ass Tito match of WrestleMania, and for the beginnings of a feud that was... I mean, this went to steel cages. It made Owen. It was Bret. Bret's been like, I don't know, arguably the greatest match of all time with Austin, greatest opener of all time here with Owen. And like to Jess's point, like the Steiners never really gelled with each other when they fought each other. There's a lot of like Matt and Jeff never really gelled with each other when they fought each other. Like, but for these guys, it's like they were born to do it. It's like they were raised to do it from the womb. It's like, they had their moment. They nailed it.
Stretching each other in the dungeon as kids. I believe. Yeah, that. And I think there's a love and there's a pure hate there, and it works.
So it's okay. That was the first round. Or no, Craig, you haven't given your choice yet for the first round. Sorry, I stole you, but again, it could be the same thing. We'll talk more about Bret now.
Well, and that was my second round first thing, by the way. So there you go.
No, I'm not afraid, and I knew this was going to happen. So, my rules, Craig's rules. Jess is not going to like this pick either.
So good.
It's an early pick. It's Shawn Michaels and Tatanka from WrestleMania 9.
It was there, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
No, you know what? It's funny because everybody shits on WrestleMania 9 in general, but it's always like they shit on WrestleMania 9 and they're like, well, Tatanka and Shawn had a good match. Like
Yeah.
everybody says that about that card. Like that's basically what.
And it was long, and I think it was a count out. It was a Tatanka count out, so it wasn't even a clean pin.
Yeah.
But like I remember as a child watching it, saying, "This is special. Like this was great." And even
Tatanka can work. People never give him credit either.
Right. And Sean
Tatanka was
again,
carrying-
like you hate him. What makes him great is what makes him a terrible human being. His desire to be the best and steal the show. Like, and
He's gonna call. What's he doing?
No,
He got him. He got him.
You should have signaled for the bell before.
Oh, something's going on. He's disqualified. He's disqualified.
Don't kill me.
That's okay. That means he keeps the title. Hey, referee. We need a decision here. What's going on?
I think I know what's going on, and I don't like it.
I don't like the look on Tatanka's face either. I don't really care about the look on his face, but he looks upset. I'm a little.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this bout, as a result of a countdown, Tatanka!
Don't get excited about the belt switching right.
and if it's against Tatanka and he's just on the cusp of kind of rising at this point and just starting his journey, like it was great. I remember it back then. I have a nostalgia for like, holy shit, you guys, like that was okay. So yeah. I try to keep it. And again, my rules were like, I wanted to kind of give some respect to the early Manias. And this was one of them. Like
I didn't think about that either.
Wrestling
That's a
match.
good
And
choice.
if I'm not mistaken, Tatanka was riding the undefeated streak into WrestleMania at this moment.
Now we're gonna go to our second picks here.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Do you want Craig? You go first with your second round pick.
Bret and Owen. No, I'm not.
You can.
No, and
That's
I
fine.
know we can, but I'm not going to. I'm going down my list.
All right. You're gonna make me
I'm not going to take the pressure. I don't care. I didn't want to do a ladder match either, but I kind of appreciated the Zack Ryder 32 ladder match. But my second choice is, and we've talked about this match before in a review also, it's very, very quick, and it's not his first WrestleMania opener, but holy shit, did it do what it was supposed to do in the 5 minutes and like 39 seconds that it was supposed to do. I'm talking about Hardy and Mysterio for WrestleMania 19 as the opener.
Interesting. WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, I think Mysterio's first WrestleMania.
Bro.
Super quick, 5:39. But the action that they packed into this match, you could go with Guerrero and Mysterio a few, years later. But for some reason, when I look back, and I love March and April in this podcast, and that we're going back through not only the reviews of WrestleManias, but we get to also do these fun moments of best openers and kind of go into the best main events and that kind of thing. It was really fun to see that, and watching Hardy Mysterio for the 19 review, I loved it. And I always thought of it, and I thought of it when this topic came across this week.
You're gonna,
and I'll still call it like that crowd in Safeco, and I hope I'm completely not off base. And it was Seattle. They were off the chain and loved every second of this 6-minute match.
to some good matches.
Well,
here,
what's your next pick, Dave? Number
that
2.
was that's the problem. Like, you guys picked my other two picks.
What was this one going to be?
Literally, I had in the order. I had the first one that I set up, and then it was going to be. It was going to be the one that Craig just set up with.
And again,
Owen
that's okay.
and
And the
that's
rules
fine.
define
That's
it's
fine.
fine.
And then Owen Bret was going to be my third one. That's why I spent so much time on Owen.
Because I want to
Bret.
talk about, like, the whole thing was, I didn't tell people at the beginning of this either that we didn't talk. We didn't know each other's lists. And
Yeah,
so we
did
just
not.
kind of came in. But it's good because instead of doing let's do a top 5, because it's hard for everybody to agree on a single top 5. But when you have all of us saying the same thing twice, like, that kind of narrows it down, I feel. I think
So
it's
when
the choices start coming to the top,
So when
the
I
fact
push
that you both
hard
chose
on-
that, that was not on my list. I'm not saying because I didn't like that match. I'm just saying that I never thought about that. So
I
that's-
enjoyed it. It was really good.
The fact that
Greg's
both you
point,
picked that is
it's
good.
a great opener,
Well,
small minute amount, and gets the crowd pumped. It's great.
What makes us best friends is like they're a little moments like this where we're all like, boop, 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 boop. Like we have it every week in the podcast where we're all thinking the same thing. And like, that's the moment, like, regardless of all our differences through like, through space and geography and time and what we're brought up and culture and that kind of thing, like what we have together as best friends is we all did this like wrestling thing together. There's not one of us, we didn't even talk about it. We all knew
really
Bret, and Bret no one was going to be on that list.
Well, yeah,
Like,
we all knew Bret Nolan was,
Dave
but
and
the thing is, I never saw Mysterio and Hardy coming on both of your lists, so that's why I wanted to do it and not talk to each other about it because
Super cool.
Yeah,
well done.
So
except Dave was more about like the opening songs and stuff of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
my second choice here. My second choice here is the I know Craig was dancing around this, but I just I'm the cheap one here. I took the cheap Owen and Bret storyline here, and so I'm gonna take a Money in the Bank ladder match from WrestleMania 31 for the Intercontinental Championship that opened the show. It was Daniel Bryan, who ended up winning the IC title that night, Wade Barrett, Dean Ambrose, R-Truth, Luke Harper, Dolph Ziggler, and Stardust, which is Cody Rhodes.
Amazing.
I love that match. WrestleMania 31, first of all, the advertisement for Mania 31 is regarded as one of the worst like hypes going into it of all time. But that event was fantastic. I regard 31 like, and it just came off number 30, which was awesome because that was the year of Daniel Bryan and all that stuff, WrestleMania 30. So usually the WrestleMania after a really good one is kind of meh, like, you know, sometimes. But this one, 31, really surprised me. From the look of Levi Stadium, the San Francisco 49er Stadium, to just the matches that ended up happening. Like, it was awesome. Like, I loved the event. And they opened it up with this Money in the Bank ladder match with 7 guys for the Intercontinental Championship. Wade Barrett was the reigning champion coming in. Daniel Bryan had to forfeit the world title a year before because of his neck injury that would ultimately put him out for like 4 or 5 years. But he was able to come back here and win the IC title. It was just a really fucking fantastic opener. Dean Ambrose was an insane monster. He got power bombed from the inside of the ring through the ladders on the outside. Wow. Like, it was crazy. Like, there were so many great spots here, and just the talent I named, all of them were really great. And so Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler ended up getting on top of the ladders and doing the dual headbutting. They were headbutting each other, and finally Dolph fell, and then Daniel Bryan pulled the belt down. That's my choice for my second pick, because I loved it. Like, I just thought it was what an opener. Like, I'm like, wow, you know.
Of a beating at the hands of their opponent and these ladders. No, look out! Look out!
No. Oh my goodness! Somebody better check out him.
He's done for.
That's a fantastic choice, Jess. And I did not mean to disrespect anyone that picks a ladder match, because there's been so many.
You did.
And I almost picked that Daniel Bryan match, like, because but I thought that my opinion of it was not the same as the rest of the world's. Like, I'm not sure if like people think about it, but I was watching that event live.
This is our podcast, goddammit.
This is the thing that like about being like psychic and together and going through things together. And we didn't even watch this WrestleMania together, but like that setting and that opening match and that like fall on the ladder from Ambrose and that headbutt battle, and then Bryan kind of finally taking it. There was so much good shit in this match. Like, I liked this WrestleMania so much, and I loved it. Yeah, and I think setting and staging and build has so much to do. In the last like 15 years of WrestleManias, like, this was a perfect example of an opener that delivered. And again, they know the algorithm. This was one that like they fucking knew that this was the one to start with at this time, at this year, at this Mania, and rightly so.
Yeah.
So now we have that's it. We did the second round or whatever. Now we're gonna do our last picks.
I'm gonna throw one at you. I'm gonna come off the cusp for just a second.
What?
I know. It's weird.
So this will officially be your third one?
It's gonna officially be my third one. And I'm taking it down the same road as Owen versus Bret, but in a different light. I'm gonna take you to Daniel Bryan versus Triple H.
God damn
in
you.
the opening match.
That was just his third.
And that's the thing is because I didn't want to, first of all, but you forced my hand on this one because everyone picked my other two picks. So I just want to throw one out there. But Daniel Bryan in this moment, I literally remember, and I'll just be that guy. I'm not on Facebook anymore. For those of you that try to wish me happy birthday, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to respond. But I remember on Facebook years before saying, looking forward to the push with Daniel Bryan. That's a post that I'll never forget because the push was insane. So good to the realm of, you're just a B-bus player. You're never going to be a main eventer guy. It's just not going to work out. You just need to stop now because he's small and he's Daniel Bryan. But so they push everything in front of Daniel Bryan where he has to wrestle twice at WrestleMania in order to win the world title. And the first match has to be against Triple H. And because that match is so good, not only does he beat, I don't really want to get into the realm of what happened in the match because the match was great. Whatever you want to talk about, you guys can talk about it. I'll give it to you.
This match, Daniel Bryan, one of the biggest upsets in WrestleMania history. Daniel Bryan is.
But it sets the stage for the actual main event at WrestleMania of Daniel Bryan actually winning the world title. And that to me is the reverse engineered of Bret versus Owen, where Bret loses the match, but then wins the title. Daniel Bryan has to fight his way through and win the first match and then get into the title match and then basically take over the main event at WrestleMania. And it really is a great opener based just on the story and nostalgia alone. But you guys can talk about the match itself.
No, I will parlay right off you because that is my final pick. That is Triple H versus Daniel Bryan, WrestleMania 30. And I know Craig said earlier that Owen and Bret is still the best, but I disagree. I think Triple H and Daniel Bryan took that spot. But here's why I connected the two, because Bret and Owen did it in the opening match, obviously, because that's why we're talking about this topic. But it was Bret's first preliminary match because he had to go on a wrestle a second time. Same thing for Daniel Bryan. The match that ironically ended up being better, and I don't mean that in a bad way, because Bret and Owen, what can you say about them? In my opinion, it ended up finally becoming a better opener after all those years from 1994 to 2014. I think it was 30. Like, there was great opening matches, but nothing that eclipsed Bret and Owen in my heart, in my opinion. And then this match did it, but they did it with the same storyline almost. It was very close. Bret was guaranteed a title match because he tied the Royal Rumble, but Daniel Bryan had to beat Triple H to get to the main event that night. But it was the same similar formula. So two matches that had a similar storyline around it ended up being the two greatest WrestleMania openers of all time. Like, it's kind of great. Like, and it's awesome. And yeah, the people doing the yes thing in that stadium was amazing. And like, it was organic. It was
the yes movement build up was insane.
You could say what you want about Triple H. He knew it. He knew Triple H is like, you have to beat me. Like, this has, and the fact that Triple H came up with that storyline, you're going to beat me in the beginning to qualify and wrestle a second time and still go on and win. Look, you can say what you want about they almost fucked up his push or whatever. They came through the finish line like with blazing speed because they ended up.
They knew exactly.
The end of WrestleMania,
the amount of people that were so pissed at Rumble with Bryan not entering that year, and then Triple H just saying on investor calls, just let the story play out. Like, there are conflicting reports of whether it was or they pivoted on the fly. I'd like to think they were smarter than that, or maybe they didn't.
I don't know, Craig.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I hate to say it. I don't know. I think because they pivot on the fly, they never committed to it because it could go south at any time. You could get a couple towns where Daniel Bryan was super hot, but then you could actually get to the WrestleMania town and people be like, we don't really like Daniel Bryan. Like, but even though obviously everybody does, but you know, like, you never know.
That's actually a good point. Like, but because I'm of the opinion that they were going to book it, they were about to fuck it up, and.
I remember, if I remember, the original plan was Batista to face somebody because Batista came back that year at the Rumble to win it.
Was that Blue-Tista? Was that the Blue-Tista?
Yes, moment? It was Bautista. Yes.
Then
so
yes,
they,
Batista, that's right.
Yeah. So I do believe they did not plan it.
Yes.
Like they were going to push Bryan, but they did not plan it.
Okay, I was being nice. I absolutely 100% agree with you,
Batista came back at Royal Rumble that year to win it to get a shot at Mania. He was going to get Randy Orton one-on-one. And it was, the groundswell was big that like people were like, you have to. Look, they might have a month before decided to go it, but no, there's no way that the Royal Rumble, I could be totally wrong, but there's no way at the Royal Rumble they knew, wink, wink, we're going to get Bryan in this thing. No way.
Thank you,
because
Jess.
Daniel Bryan,
I almost defended Triple H. I almost thought Triple H had it.
Daniel Bryan not only did not enter the Royal Rumble that year, but he lost the opening match to Bray Wyatt cleanly that pay-per-view. So they opened up with Bray Wyatt versus Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan loses. So that's when everyone's like, he's definitely going to be in the Rumble. And he wasn't. And then people were like, what the fuck are you doing? That's when people were pissed off. Yeah.
They were.
So it was not planned. I don't care what anybody says. I truly believe it was not planned. So they just, the crowds ended up taking over the shows, chanting Daniel Bryan. And so they had no choice at that point to go for it.
Which is why I'll never pick that match as the greatest opener of WrestleMania.
Whoa.
We kind of came full circle to the reasoning.
Dave and I shared the same opinion. What is your third and final pick?
It's not the best. It is my last. It is my final one, but it's not representative of the best for sure. But it means a lot in my heart, and I'm going to break it down. It is WrestleMania 34 right behind me. It's Rollins versus Miz versus Finn Balor.
That was fun. We were there live.
And that's, I'll say 97% of the reason why I'm including on the list.
It was fun. That was a fun match.
But beyond that,
that's a great match.
The entrances, it kicks off right away. The entrances, it's one of the, I'll fight to the death and say that, like, as unconventional as that staging was, that and it's not a WrestleMania logo that was approved, that's sitting on top like 20 feet in the air, but that staging and that floor and that ramp and that like New Orleans like Mardi Gras mask, I love it. The way that the amount of things they did with that lighting throughout the entire night. And when they had Miz come down, and this was, I don't want to be wrong, but I think this was the first year they did that like alternative reality stuff kind of on top of the graphics also.
It was the first year. Yes.
So so Rollins comes down as like a White Walker and turns the whole kind of white ramp that's frozen. And then later on in years, like he
had blue contacts in, didn't he, too? He had
blue contacts. The Miz came down with the Miz Taraj, which was awesome, coming off his run of his long IC streak with crazy glasses, a nice like little retro punk like look. He sends Bo Dallas back and Curtis Axel back and has fun. And then Balor was the beginning of his like inclusion movement, which didn't last very long, but I truly appreciate like what they tried to do there. And sitting in that stadium, we'd already seen 3 matches. We've seen a Battle Royal and some other stuff
on the pre-show.
On the pre-show, but when you watch it back on Mania, I popped and I loved the crowd and I loved the entrances. I love the weight of it and the gravitas of it. Finn was smiling and like looking around at it, and the stories of you had Seth throwing Finn and breaking his like putting him out in the SummerSlam the year before that he'd come back, I believe, and returning that kind of thing. Yeah, like kind of the end of Miz's run. Like it wasn't the best. It was slow paced at times. There were a lot of fucking fun false finishes. I really enjoyed it. I watched it back. I confirmed my opinion. I said, "Fuck it, I love this." I loved watching it, and being in attendance cemented it. It was a lot of fun.
I'm ashamed only because I didn't get into that far of the 30s of WrestleMania to find my top 3 openers, and I feel like I should have gone a little bit further. But as soon as you say that, and I think about it in my head, I'm like, and I think about that talent in the ring, and I'm like, ugh, I should have gone back and watched that back. That's a great.
There's a lot of stuff, and people probably listening to this probably have even a different one that we didn't mention, which is good. Because
put it in the comments below.
My whole social experiment with this whole thing and us not talking about it is, I said at the beginning, it's hard to really say these are the top 5 greatest openers of all time or whatever, top 10, whatever.
Sure.
It's hard because everyone's going to disagree. But in our organic conversation, the 3 matches that came up multiple times, one came up all 3, Bret versus Owen. So I think we all, so again, no matter what my opinion is, maybe that does lean towards Craig's opinion, that still might be the greatest WrestleMania opener of all time, because we all didn't talk and I knew that's going to be on all 3 of our lists. I knew it. But the second one that came up multiple times was Hardy and Mysterio.
Yeah, a little surprise there.
Yeah, and then the third one was Triple H and Daniel Bryan. Both Dave and I agreed on it. So that's kind of telling. I mean, when you think about it. So now you got 3 matches that we dwindled it down. We have Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. We have Rey Mysterio versus Matt Hardy, and we have Bret versus Owen.
I love it. At the end of the day, like we were talking, obviously. By the way, if you ever do a podcast, you should spend about half an hour before, like, talking about some bullshit just to like connect together. This is what we do every time to prepare. And what we did today was like our entire relationships and how we met each other via other people and via ourselves mostly revolved around wrestling. So 30 years ago, 3 decades. So anyone listening to this, anyone that has ever listened to this podcast, like, that's what it's about. It's like this community, and it's fun, and it's a gang, and we're all in the same like tribe, and like, yeah, we're all in it together, and we love it, and like we can fight and argue, but do never let anyone who doesn't know what they're talking about shit on wrestling.
Not ashamed
because
of it, bro.
This podcast alone is 30 years of experience and friendship, and the fact we still remain best friends. Like, that's why we did it, and that's why we worked so hard. And gosh darn it.
I hope
we absolutely, on that note, Craig, it's beautiful. We all agree Hogan is the best. Dave, take us out. Don't say anything else.
I'm not ashamed of it, is what I'll say. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel. On social media, give us a follow on Instagram or Twitter at O.W.P 2019, or catch us on Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. This is Dave, Jess, and Craig with the O.W.P signing off. You guys have a good one.
Yes, to your wrestling, the death of freedom, a valid choice. Doesn't this don't need to like you count? Dear W.P, this world is wrong to be. Themselves oppressing your own cognitive function eliminated. Conversations or trips were growing and awakening because of your own weak incredulity. Such a man in this world only swallow you whole and victimize you. To those who wish to defeat and not the street.